Bootum.
36 minutes on the clock. Welcome, everyone, to a brand new, of course, as usual, very special edition of the Per 36 podcast. We are joined by Mr. John Macri of the Knicks Film School fame and also like Sports Illustrated Knicks thing.
And just the Knicks world. The Knicks world.
Yeah, just like the like I don't know.
It's
Thing of
system.
it's not any kind of fame that I don't know what it is. It's not fame. Fame is not it's not the right word.
Notoriety.
Notoriety. Fine. Whatever. That's a better word.
How are you keeping up in quarantine and whatnot?
I'm doing okay. I mean, having so my wife has asthma, so she's like petrified.
Oh.
Well, let me rephrase that. She has asthma and is also very anxious to begin with. So she's petrified that if the door opens, the virus will crawl into the house and kill her that night. Which has made the last several weeks really fun. And then you add into it the fact that we have a 3.5-year-old daughter, and it's like they require a modicum or two of your attention. I'll just say
a little bit,
just a bit. No, but it's been good. I mean, the most frustrating thing for me is like over like the last year or two, whatever. Writing about basketball has become such a part of my daily existence, and now I can't write about basketball because there's no basketball. So I'm like kind of spinning my wheels a little bit and like thinking like, should I branch out or whatever? So that part's frustrating, but other than that, everything's been okay.
Yeah, same thing here. Just kind of thinking like, we could use this time to get in a lot of basketball related content. But I mean, and I guess we are right now. But it's just like it's kind of hard when literally like even though like we just pretend it's the off season, like it's just hard when it's that big drop.
We're also still we're still holding on to hope that it's not off season, and so it's like we're that middle ground.
It's the not knowing that has kind of got, because like for instance, if I knew that they were going to pick up and play games again in like a month, which at this point I don't think is realistic, like it's like, all right, I could like space out like some a plan for like that time, but because we don't know, it's kind of like everything's up in the air and you're just kind of like figuring out as you go along, and that's like, I don't know, it's never a comfortable place to be, but whatever.
Especially with like we don't know how the off season is going to go, and like the draft, it's like and so we don't want to get into like draft content, but it's like we don't want to just give up on the season.
But
it's also like
we don't want to give up on those Knicks title hopes.
Are they mathematically eliminated from the playoffs?
I haven't heard that they are, so
I don't think they are.
May still be in the fight, a little like. Well, actually, I don't know how many games are left. Like
I think,
what was it? I think 18.
I think they might.
I think maybe if they won every like single game.
Maybe that.
And I think the Nets would have to lose like 12.
Yeah, it's possible. Anyway. Yeah. Might not happen, but you never know.
Well, yeah, I don't think there's even going to be that many games if the season came back. But the bright side, if the season does not come back, is we may have seen the last of some of my personal foes on this team, such as I guess Bobby Portis.
I was about to say, who's your number one? Who's your number one on your head list?
I guess he has a lot of animosity. I have a lot of on our team.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess Portis wouldn't mind never seeing him again. I don't know. Everyone's like warming up to Portis and like
don't play nice to Julius now with all the
I was about to say.
Yeah.
All right. Well, like I give Julius a lot of stuff. Like I like to make fun of Julius, and like there's a lot to make fun of. But I think honestly, like with how much hate he gets, I think there may be like a bit of a disconnect. Like he still is like currently like the best player on the team, and like he is like overall a good player. He's just like an extremely frustrating player, and his weaknesses are like the most annoying weaknesses ever. So like I'm not like, it's weird. Like I don't actually hate. I hated like Fizdale Randle, but like recently, like as he's been like more confident, like it's easy to hate on him and it's fun, but like he's not actually like a bad basketball player. Like, he's still probably like the best player on the team, I guess, outside of maybe, I don't know. I mean,
I think depending on if you value defense the same as you value offense, he's not. But if you look at the game like most of us look at it, which obviously you give a little bit more value to offense, I think he's still the best player on the team. That said, he's easily number one for me because like Portis, like I actually really began to enjoy the what was the lineup? The Frank, insert shooter here, Knox,
like
Frank, the backup five, those, and Portis was a member of those lineups, and I like. It made sense. He actually made those lineups function because of his spacing, and when he didn't do stupid shit, it was like, okay, it was good. Julius, it's like, I don't know. It was a similar phenomenon as Cantor when it's like, it was maybe only a half dozen things a game, but like those half dozen things were like, man, you know better than this shit. You're just doing it because you're being a dick. Like I'm convinced, like he's not a dumb guy. He's a smart guy. No, he's thoughtful. And I it's just like
he's just like going off you. Like he plays with a little bit of like a lack of self-awareness, and like you can just see it when we're just like, okay, like they know you're gonna try to do the spin move.
No, he doesn't care. And it's like, he's like, I'm on this shitty team. I'm gonna get my numbers. I don't care if 2 out of every 8 of these possessions work out in my favor. I'm gonna do it anyway because I'm the highest paid player on the team, and they're letting me, which is why it's not even really his. It's the fault of the guys that built the team, but whatever.
The issue with Randle is like his issues are like what they've been since like Kentucky. He's like a black hole guy. Yep. Like he stops paying attention on defense, and like the Knicks have just given like full like they've accentuated all those weaknesses. Like last year in New Orleans, like you watch his highlights, like it's not like he was doing better doing the same thing he's doing this year. It's not like Point Randle was working last year. It was just like he was used in like a space on offense and like as a finisher of plays, not like a starter. And this year, like the Knicks are kind of just lending him to lean into his weaknesses, and like so is he because he thinks like, oh, I'm like the mellow. Like I said the other day, he thinks he's like because he retweeted like a Kobe tweet with playing with like Smush Parker. Like he thinks he's Kobe on these Knicks. And like everyone else is Smush Parker, and like he's like 2005 Kobe. So like he's just like thinking. I mean, especially you see it when like against like the Lakers this year. I mean, he was really forcing like the issue. I mean, So
it's been a lot of games, and my thing is like people get mad at me like, oh, how could you want to like salary dump a guy who's the best scorer on the team? I'm like, there are in the NBA, it's like. Is my own personal opinion. Sometimes you can't put the genie back in the bottle. It's like it doesn't matter who you bring onto this team next year. You're not going to go to Randle and be like, okay, now you're third on the pecking order. Like that dude's not going to fucking want to hear it. Sorry, can I curse on this podcast?
We try to limit it, but
now we probably could.
No, I won't. I should try to stop as much as I do.
It's all good.
Whatever. He's not going to want to hear that. That's my only point. Anyway.
Now. Going back, so Bootum, when you just brought up Julius at Kentucky, that's to segue to our next topic because me and you, I mean, you just tweeted about Knox, and I know you're one of the few really like Knox believers. And well, okay, I'll rephrase that.
No, that's fair.
Do you think Kevin Knox is going to be the 2022 MVP? I'm kidding.
But I'll tell you this: in hindsight, after the draft, so I'm a diehard Kentucky fan.
Okay.
And so, in hindsight, after the draft, the year after the draft, everyone was like, "How could we have passed on SGA for Knox?" And I loved SGA at Kentucky, but I'll be honest, I wanted that Knox pick. I was sold on him. I thought his potential was there, and obviously it was a disappointing season, but I don't know. The thought of giving up on him really worries me. It really worries me. What do you think?
No, that's exactly where I'm at. It's not. So like, there's a difference between what I think about Knox and what I think about Frank. Like Frank, I'm convinced. Actually, I shouldn't say convinced because there is a possibility the shot never comes around, but like. just for argument's sake, he gets over whatever is in his own head and the shot starts falling, like that dude's going to be a valuable contributor for a decade plus in the league. Like I have zero doubt about that. There's definitely a possibility Knox might never be good, but my position on him is more what you just said, which is that I'd be petrified of giving up on him because I don't know if we're the worst developmental organization in the league right now. And like, I used to make these arguments being like, oh, how could you say that? Like, look at guys like Mitch. I'm more now coming around to the opinion that like Mitch is more just an anomaly of a guy that like, if he got the chance to play, he was gonna fuck. Oh, sorry, I caught myself. He was gonna.
It's okay.
He was gonna figure it out wherever he went, probably as long as he got an opportunity. Which is to segue to my main point, which is that we might be one of the worst developmental organizations in the league.
Oh.
So
I don't even think that's arguable.
No, I can't. If you were to argue it, you wouldn't have much evidence to go on.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, even with Mitch, I mean, he's like, I'd say at the end of the year, it's the same thing where like he kind of like limited his fouls and stuff, but it's not like, oh, Mitch came out with like any specific like different
for sure.
in like ability from last year. I mean, for most of the year, he was kind of, I'd say near the end, he's been better than last year, but for like the first 30 games, he's probably like worse, if any, like. Yeah,
oh no, he's
you're gonna see that 3-point jumper he was working on all season.
Yeah, maybe by 2025.
I mean, all season, yeah.
But like, no, just to finish up the point on Knox, it's just like if you send him to OKC in like a Chris Paul trade this summer, like I would bet a week's pay that dude is going to be averaging 15 and 8 3 years from now.
Exactly.
And putting it up 40% from deep. Will he be a winning player in the league? I don't know that. Like maybe his foot speed is so bad that you're going to be able to target him until the end of time on defense. I can't say that, but like that dude made real progress on defense this year. I'm not seeing things. He's stuck with guys that he was getting blown by last year. And if that was always the biggest concern, anyway, sorry.
No. And I also think like it's kind of difficult because if you look at his rookie year where he averaged the most minutes in our team, right? And he really had free reign to do whatever he wanted. And then you go this year, and obviously it was the right thing. They needed to rein him in, and he needed to become a more efficient team player. But it's like you go from averaging the most minutes in a game, on the team as a rookie, and now you're getting 10 to 19 minutes. And it's like, first of all, he was one of the youngest players in the draft. And Calipari always said, even pre-draft, he was like, this kid will need time.
3 years.
He's a hard worker, and he will succeed. But it's like, I think confidence is an issue, and he's still a kid. And so I worry that, like you said, if we send him to OKC in a CP3 trade, he immediately becomes a Rashard Lewis light or something along that lines. Like
nothing would shock me. It's just like the work ethic is there. He comes from a good family. His dad, I've talked to his dad several times before games. It's like he has a support system. There is talent there. He's a 6'9".
He's an NBA body.
Yeah, he's an NBA body. He's a 6'9" guy that can move with the ball. And if you don't believe in the shot, but like my God, his shot is still like it didn't go in this year.
It's pretty.
It's pretty. I don't know. I just
looked pretty good in summer league this year.
Yeah,
for those first few summer league games, he looked. Summer league Knox is a different animal.
I was there live for his first summer league game ever with my dad against the Hawks.
Oh, word.
And I left that game being like, Dad, we got our franchise player.
We got the guy.
I was like, we got him. It was like Trier and Mitch and Trey Young played horrendously, and I was like, oh my God, this is the team. And so,
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not really nervous about trading Knox and him like being like Rashard Lewis late on another team. I'm more of the philosophy that like he's going to be more like a Jabari Parker light, which isn't really high threes. But
that's a scary thought. Jabari Parker light. You don't have much. You don't have any calories to take out.
Jabari Parker is like he's like a tweener forward who like is a good offensive player and horrible defender. But like,
would you rather have Kevin Knox over Jabari Parker right now?
Well, that's the thing. I'd rather have Kevin Knox. If I'm trying to win basketball games, I'd rather have. Jesus.
Really? Don't say Jabari Parker. Don't say Jabari Parker.
No, neither are good players. But that's kind of my point. I don't like. I mean, I'm not high on Knox at all, but I do. But at the same time, I would not trade him for any reason. I mean, because there's just no point on a bad team to just get Kevin Knox off the team. And I will say that, I mean, he has like it's a weird thing because his main issue last year was his defense, and he no doubt improved on that end. He went from like unwatchably bad to like being like not like the biggest like net negative of all time. Like he went from like the worst player in league history to like just like bad, But so I don't know. I would stick with him, but again on the development point, like they're doing him no favors at all. Like I don't mind like I don't mind the making him work for his minutes, but yeah, that's a weird thing that last year he had free reign, and then this year they're like, no, 10 minutes a game. But also just again, I just think it's such a disservice to him that he played 80% of his minutes at small forward. Right? I think it's just like so obviously a powerful.
Did we end up hiring what's his name as our shooting coach? That guy, Lethal Shooter.
No, we didn't. I was actually. It was funny. I got a. I'm not gonna say a strongly worded email from the Knicks. I floated the idea like, oh, maybe they actually hired him after he put out that
because he posted
post.
in the facility, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I got an email that night from someone with the Knicks saying we have not hired a shooting coach. So no,
we need a shooting coach. Well, we need a shooting coach.
We need to bring back our man from Knicks camp, but also
Steve Rosenberry.
Not Steve Rosenberry, Dave Hopla. He was.
I would say Dave Hopla. But Steve Rosenberry is still probably one of the greatest shooters of all time. But now the assistant GM of the Blazers. He's still in that role, which is crazy.
Just get anybody in the building who that's their specialty. Like I'm sick and tired of what I was at Summer League this year. You know what bothered me is I'm looking at these other teams and they have 20 people on the bench, and we had whatever. 7
Keith Smart. We had Keith Smart.
It's just a it's just a weird thing with the Knicks that there's obviously a lot of LOL Knicks sentiment and whatnot, and it does seem like a lot of time they maybe unnecessarily get picked on, but there are just so many things that the Knicks are weirdly off on. It's really just top to bottom. I mean you can get mad at them people for getting mad at them for not having a presser when everyone was fired and stuff, but everything they do is a bit off. You get mad at Spike Lee for making such a scene about the entrance thing. It's just it's so many different things that just don't happen with other teams, and I don't
unforced errors.
It's something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
with the Spike Lee thing. If anything, I was kind of on the Knicks side in the beginning, being you know what? Obviously, you don't want to piss off Spike Lee, but it shouldn't be that big of a deal to just ask him to use the VIP entrance. But when they then released that PR letter, I've never seen an NBA franchise call something like that laughable.
But at the same time, I don't think it was such a big deal. But just the whole concept of them not telling them the entrance anyway. This seems it's just so many weird things like that, and the letting Fizzo run a practice before firing him, not having a shooting coach. It's just so many weird things that hopefully they just. No.
But I get something. This is probably the thing I get into not arguments, but the most often that Knicks fans get mad at me is when stuff like this comes up, because they look at it from the perspective of what the Knicks do here, what the Knicks did, or whatever, is defensible, and even the Spike thing, it's yeah, fine, whatever. On its face, is it defensible? Did the guy use the wrong entrance? Did you fine, whatever. It doesn't matter. Stop living in the world we wish we were living in, where everything wasn't used as an opportunity to further lambaste the franchise. Live in the world that we actually exist in. It doesn't matter if the Knicks are in the right or in the wrong. If it's something that is easily fixable, and if you lean into your we talk about Julius Randle, if you lean into your worst tendencies, it's gonna create this media firestorm. Just don't do it. If you're James Dolan, go over there, kiss the man's ass during halftime, and it's done. That's it. Whatever. But, he didn't do that, and then it's a story. So, yeah.
And even with Steve Stout, we hire him to
my God.
improve the brand. He goes on First Take. 20 minutes later, it's like he no longer speaks for us. It's like, oh my god.
That was,
He was there to improve the brand, and then immediately goes on TV for no reason. Like, no one asked him to, and immediately just like gives the brand a massive hit for no reason. Just like, let's throw the coach under the bus.
But like, there's a point where you almost have to laugh at it. Like, it's really funny because it's like,
I mean, like everyone gets mad at LOL Knicks, but you gotta, there's a lot to LOL at, and I mean, people do look for stuff a lot. There is like a lot of unfair stuff, but the Knicks, like, there's a lot of just like weird stuff that other teams don't do, and like, or stuff that the other teams do that the Knicks don't do. Like, I don't know. It adds up.
It does add up.
I have a question for you,
Sure.
Specifically. What are your thoughts, kind of, about Leon Rose, and either things you think are going to happen, and also like what you really hope will kind of take place as he really takes over?
I mean, the second question's a lot easier to answer. Is like I've never been an agent, but I practiced law for 5 years, and I know, like, just if you're an attorney, like, you learn to think in a certain way, you learn to analyze stuff in a certain way, you learn to approach things in just your whatever your line of work is with a certain thoughtfulness, and like there's all the stuff that everybody says about him. It, like, I get it, and I think it's all great stuff. So just, it's like he's had the opportunity for 20 years to go in and look at every other NBA team and be like, I want my guys here, or I don't want my guys there, because they're going to make my guy more money and this other organization is going to make my guy less money. So with all of that knowledge, you'd think that he'd be able to just take the stuff that works, dispense with the stuff that doesn't. What I'm worried about is that he was hired basically with the understanding that his MO is to try to bring names here. And Phil Jackson, I think, was hired, and Dolan allowed him to basically be like, all right, do what you're going to do. And I wonder if that experience scarred James a little bit, which obviously led to Mills and Perry, who was clearly more of he was okay being a subordinate. I still think he is. And now with Rose, it's like, is he going to be allowed to use all of the knowledge he's gained over the last 20 years to actually build an organization that is the right type of organization? Cause the guy's smart enough to know what works and what doesn't. He's not an idiot. He's a smart guy. But what guarantees do we have that he's going to be able to operate freely? I wish I had more confidence.
Part of me hopes, from Rose's perspective, that, I mean, he's someone that didn't need this job. He was the most prominent really agent in the league, and he has been for years besides Rich Paul. And so I really, really hope that before he took this job, he made sure that he kind of had that reign. I mean, obviously, even if he got that assurance, we've seen in past that things can change very quickly with Dolan.
But if he got that assurance, that would actually make me feel okay, because there's what there is between them, or what I believe that there is, and from everything that I've heard, there's a trust factor. I do think Dolan trusts him. So if he took the job with the understanding of look, you do what you think is best. Don't worry about ticket sales. Don't worry about names. Don't worry about the back page. Just do what you think is best. I feel comfortable that he's going to be given enough runway to execute a plan. I don't know if. I don't know. I just wish I was a fly on the wall for the conversations when he was brought aboard. That's all.
I mean, I'm not nervous about, honestly, him getting allowed to do what he wants, because I think there is that trust factor. I mean, obviously, we're not there, but just that, like I said, that CAA stink has been all over the Knicks for you look past the last I don't know, decade or so. Every bad move has been well, not every bad move, but a lot of the moves directly to CAA from these guys being hey, yeah, trade for Bargnani, yeah, draft Ronaldo Bachman,
take Chris Smith.
like like Mike Woodson, if you don't sign with CAA, like you're gone. Like Lynn, you didn't, so you're gone. Like it's a lot of bad things related to CAA. So like I don't trust. I don't doubt that he trusts Leon Rose. I just am nervous about what we have no idea what he's going to do with that trust. I don't think Leon Rose is necessarily going to sign. I mean, one concern is he's going to sign all CAA buddies, but I think he's going to try to do what works. Like I don't think he's necessarily. I'm not really that concerned. He's going to just go ahead and hire Thibodeau. But like we don't really have like a real concept of like what exactly he is going to do. So that's what's scary to me. I mean, again, I just think of the NBA, like we've said, like the Knicks have a lot of like things other teams don't do. Like, is Leon Rose gonna be able to do that and be one of the better teams? Like, is he gonna like have like a smart like analytics department and go from like not shooting threes to like being a normal team like we were in 2013?
This is the thing. I mean, I think it all hinges on if he really embraces the president role and hires like a real basketball GM. Like if he needs a real basketball guy in that GM position, because I think he'd be a great president in terms of knowing how he wants the organization to be run and the player handling and kind of being the liaison like from the Knicks to the public. But like it would freak me out completely if he was just our one basketball mind.
Oh no, I don't think he would try to do that. What worries me is that there's a trickle down effect, because if you like whatever, name your guy, like the what's his
Bobby
face?
Webster.
Bobby
Webster.
Bobby. Okay. One of the top 2 or 3 candidates, along with what's his face, the guy in Boston who's never in a million years going to come here, and
I think here's the thing. Here's a little bit of tea. So Bobby Webster's in-laws live on my floor in New York.
Okay.
And he has a wife and kid, and they are based in New York.
Interesting.
And there's been a little bit of thinking that he might want to settle down here long term so he could just be with his family. And so I think that's something really to watch.
So
that would be awesome.
If you're Bobby Webster and this is going to be your first chance to run an organization, and it'll go a long way in determining how the rest of your career is going to go, because he's still a pretty young guy, right? He's very young.
Oh, he's the youngest GM in the league.
There you go. Okay, great. You would probably, I would guess, want the ability to, like, I don't know, fire a member of your scouting staff, like the head scout who you thought was sitting on his ass and not doing his there I go again. Sitting on his rear end and not doing his job. And any of your listeners could go and do this. Go on LinkedIn, literally right now, and like Google people who are scouts for the Knicks, and including their scouting director, and see how long those folks have had jobs. And ask yourself, is it a bit odd that a team that has the worst record in the league for whatever, the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years, like, these people haven't been fired? And, like, what is that? Like, does Leon Rose have the ability to empower whoever he brings in to GM the team to fire whoever he wants? And, I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah, I agree. Like, my bigger trust concern is not Leon Rose and Dolan. It's more like having, like, a repeat of David Griffin. Like, not even Dave Griffin himself, but he was a guy who wanted to come with the Knicks. Yeah. And then, like, because of Steve Mills having so much power, he's like, nah, I don't want to, like, split duties with Steve Mills and like be under his power. But yeah, that's another thing you brought up, just that like it's not like just Mills, like the stink, again, like talk about the stink, like it permeates like throughout the organization. Like these guys, it's not just Mills who's been here for a while. It's been a lot of guys. It's like Craig Robinson, like
a bird just hit my window.
No, listen, you just brought up a name in Allen Houston. Look, Allen Houston, I've met him a couple times. Nice guy. Seems super competent. If you want to give credit to the Westchester and the success that they've had, give it to Allen Houston. I'm fine with that. But like, that dude's not going anywhere. And if you're Bobby Webster, like, okay, day one, there's a contingency. It's like, hey, do you want to work with Allen Houston? Well, I hope so, because you're going to get to work with him, and he's not going anywhere. Like, we don't know how Bobby Webster or whoever is going to feel about that.
I completely like. It's especially like coming from Toronto, where they have probably the most advanced scouting and player development program in the entire league. It's like I think if him or even that guy, what's his name in Denver,
whose name I can't pronounce.
Yeah. But if they're even to consider, I feel like that has to be a prerequisite. I mean, if I were them, there's no chance I'm coming here if I can't choose my own people.
Which is by the way how you end up with a Scott Perry. And I'm not trying to put down Scott Perry. He's a competent, solid professional, like all the things that we didn't have for a long time. But like Scott Perry wasn't on any top 10 lists for like guys that are. No, I mean it wasn't. I'm not.
He was just known as he's not bad.
Yeah, exactly.
He's also again friends with. He's like been friends, I think, with Leon Rose or like Worldwide West or whatever. Like again, it's like it's not like the world isn't necessarily the swamp isn't drained yet just because Mills was fired. Like there's a lot of like Dolan buddies there still. So like it's still like I don't know.
What do we think about Dave Blatt? What is his role? Is he an international scout? I mean, is he just behind the scenes right now?
He's Tom Hagen in The Godfather. He's a consigliere.
But also, what happens with him now? Like the new hire.
I mean, I've just been very curious as to throughout this whole season what his role has been. Like, is he scouting Denny and Killian Hayes? Like, what is he?
I don't think he's traveling a lot because I've had to move out of the way so he could like get past me into a seat. Like he's not moving well. I mean, I think he has a cane actually, if I recall correctly. Yeah, he's not. I think he was just kind of brought in.
He's one of their Princeton friends. He was like Mills's Princeton friend.
Yeah, look, he's another smart guy in the room, which is fine. But I don't think he's the one who's like going around scouting guys. So.
Yep.
But yeah, so I mean, that's really the question to me. Again, like you said, the Princeton guys. This is a question to me of like how much things are going to change. Is this like a new guy at the front, or is like Leon Rose actually going to change things up and try to like, see what other teams are doing and advance the team, like, and hopefully not like go into like the pitfalls of like trying to bring back like the old Knicks and try to grit and dog it with Mark Jackson and more people who can't shoot for some reason. Like,
can we?
I don't know.
If I have to hear one more press conference about we're bringing the 90s back, we're bringing that style. Like, no, just look around the league. Do what other good teams are doing. Stop trying to bring the 90s back. The 90s are dead for a reason.
Let's bring like the 20.
The 90s team hates each other.
Yes, they do. Oh God.
Let's bring in good basketball players. Let's bring that back, baby.
That's an idea.
Do you have before we wrap this up? Do you have any one person dream scenario you'd want to see on the Knicks?
A player?
2 years? Yeah, one guy. It doesn't have to be a star. I'm just a guy you like, who even you think could be realistic. Whether it's bringing Gallo back or Kelly Oubre.
Yeah. Well, realistic, or can I have my one dream?
Yeah, go one dream, one realistic.
My dream scenario for a while now has involved Embiid, and I was told, Yaron Weitzman, who I had on my pod, he just wrote a whole book about the Sixers. He knows them as well as anyone. He told me in no uncertain terms, he's like, the Sixers are not trading Embiid. And I believe him. But, like, I just wonder, like, even not this summer, but, like, a year from now or something, if that situation really gets bad, he has the clout to be like, you know what, you're trading me and I don't really care. Like,
and that's where the Leon Rose connection.
He's the CAA guy, yeah. He's a Rose guy. So that's the dream for long term because I think that guy is going to carry a team to a championship one day. But other than him, I want Gallo back. I'm not getting off this hill. I'm dying on this hill. He knows the environment. He knows what it is to have to navigate the unique waters of the Knicks. And as far as a player type, he's like literally everything a young team needs. If he doesn't get the ball, he's going to be cool with it. You stick him in the corner, he's cool with it. He could do some stuff with the ball. He will take the big shot when you need it, but he's not going to Julius Randle his way to monopolizing possession after possession after possession. And I really do. like, if the scenario that I want to come true comes true, which is that they really, again, lean into the youth and develop the kids even further next year, I think it could be counterproductive if the kids are going out every night and they're just like, we're going to lose because we suck because the other teams are better than us. I think Gallo is a guy who's, like, good enough that he will help give them a fighting chance. Let me say that. Like, on some nights, if you put another, shooter or two in a lineup and, like, have that guy, like, I know this. I want to watch that team. I want to watch RJ and Mitch and Gallo and, like, a point guard. Maybe you could hit a shot. Like, that's fun.
We've got, and we're going to close this really soon, but just in terms of draft, are you a LaMelo guy?
Oh, God. Ask me in a few months. I don't know. You know what? Ultimately, probably yes, because you win big and you lose big. He has the best elite skill in the draft. He has the only elite skill in the draft, actually, if we're being honest. And I'll lean on Spencer Perlman, who knows 10 times more stuff about this than I do. He's like, the form I called myself, the form is bad.
It's shaky.
It's shaky. That's what I was going to say. The form is shaky, but he has the feel that you trust the shot long term because he has the feel. So if he's a jump shot away from being like a true impact guy, which is what he is, I'd buy him. Sure.
All right, and just to wrap things up, who is your per 36 All-Star? Who is your fan favorite? Who just needed more run or deserved more? I don't know. Who's your per 36 All-Star?
I'll have you know I did about 12 minutes of research on this before I came on. I am going to go with Sweet Lou Amundsen.
Great choice.
Not only was he 10-10 per 36 while he was on the Knicks, he's 10-10 per 36 for his career, which is like, I did not think that would be the case, but sure enough, he is. And I realized this like literally live while I was recording a pod with Jeremy like a week and a half ago. Like during one of the terrible years, I forget which one, I think 14, 15, like the 8 or 9 games that he got the most minutes in that season, the team was like 8-1 or 7-2 or something. It's some crazy, it's some crazy.
He had a game winner against the Spurs, I remember.
Yeah, no, like that. I just remember I was like, oh, okay, I'm okay with this guy coming in.
Him and Shved.
Dude, another good per 36 guy.
Yeah.
But Lou's a good one. He's like genuinely, like, I don't know, most of our per 36 All-Stars so far have been like genuinely like good, like actual per 36 minutes. Lou's a good one. Like if you gave him 36 minutes a game, he averaged a double-double. No matter, like, you extrapolate all his years and he was getting like 3 minutes a game 1 year. Like you extrapolate his minutes. That was he's a double-double machine.
Sweet Lou, baby.
But yeah, I mean, most of the Sweet Lou minutes are blurred to me. I kind of tuned out those Amundsen, Shved, Kobe, Shaq moments.
Can I tell you that 14-15 team, of all of the crap teams we've had over the last 20 years, for reasons that I can't fully explain, that team has like I wouldn't say like a special place in my heart, but like I remember that team well. I don't know why, but I do.
Mine's the opposite. I pushed that away. After Pablo was traded. But anyway, I guess we could wrap things up. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, man, this is fun. This is great.
Do you want to promote what you got going on?
Sure. I'm still writing the newsletter every day for at least this week, and I don't know. At some point, I may dip it down to like 3 days a week, but for the time being, I'm still putting out 5 a week, and then our own podcast, the Knicks Film School podcast, where still putting out 2. That will continue 2 episodes every week, one with Jeremy, and then one with a different guest every week. I'm probably gonna do a mailbag this week. So yeah, check that out, and then follow me on Twitter, JC Macri NBA, and yeah, man, and keep putting out your KP. I want basketball back so I could see more of your tweets highlighting KP's crap stat lines. That's what I want.
It's been getting hard recently.
I know.
Putting up some good stat lines, but I'm mad because he was on a bad streak was on a bad streak at the end there. He put up two stinkers,
Yeah.
and then the season shut down.
I
before
know.
we could
You could have had like a real like 5-game extrapolation.
Yeah, like I could have been like, I could have proved. Now I guess we'll never know if I was right that like he always stinks up at the end of the season because
And if they come back to finish the season, he'll be rested. So that's the issue.
Yeah,
his weak little chicken legs will
Hey, listen, shout out to one of my friend and follower, Jason Fortin, texted me the other day. We're still in the situation where his next April game that he plays will be his first. So,
yeah. All right. Thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you.